everyone, welcome back to Pommy and Oz. If you are new around here, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe. We're absolutely smashing them out at the moment. So if you would do that, that would be much obliged. You can go a step further. Link is in the description to become a member of the channel. We do things like sponsor Donaku and things like that, who we are going to be talking about today. And it really does help us support the channel and help keep the content the way it is with all the stats and stuff. And if you are a returning Pominoza, you're right, how you doing? Hope you're doing well midweek. And it's the VFL review. And we had two big 114 scores from our VFL boys as well as our seniors. They won by 55. Benny Crocker taking over, leading the goal kicking medal as well. And it was a real complete game. And this was probably something that I was hoping to see from this side against a side that was a bit weaker. What they're about, and I was a bit disappointed last week against Werribee. They left it a bit late to come back. I felt like they should have enough firepower to really run over that side. They ran over this side. It was a real highlight. It was a bit like the AFL side as well. We're starting to see these layers. Their transition was really solid. What was really standout for me was the onus on forward pressure and the R word, and we're going to cover it a lot. It's something that I've suspected about Vossi, that we're going to start to see a lot of rotation. It was very minimalist at the start, which alludes to me that he's trying to get the players in their positions. The VFL this week, there was a lot of rotations. You had the wonderful Tyrese Liu, who's an absolute star, I think, in the making. He's a real solid footballer, and I've got a sneaky feeling that if it's not us, he will end up an AFL list. He's starting to develop. He played this week. He rotated with KEMP. KEMP came off. What I've been told it wasn't an injury, it was a last minute precaution for Harry. I don't know how true that is. He didn't look hurt though in the game. I've watched it 3 times now to do these stats. I can't see anything where it says that he got hurt, so for me I think he should be fine. But there was a big rotation. Hayes, Dow, they're all fluxing, and what is great to see is the switching of the wings as well, about 3 or 4 rotating through there. MOTLOP got there and they really got on top and they hemmed them in. It was really impressive, their ability to lock it inside 50. North had a hell of a time getting out of D50. We really did cram it. And what was nice as well is we started to see these wings crimp up a little bit and create almost like a triangle of destruction for the defensive exits, which was really, really impressive. It was a real solid game from the boys and I really enjoyed it. Some real standouts as well. Randanovic is, for me, someone that maybe Quenton will look at because he was really impressive down the back. He adds a bit of ball use, a bit of dynamism, good interceptability as well, and a real good transitional threat. He may be someone that Quenton look at, maybe on a bit of the small side, but it could allow some little flux and rotation somewhere. You never know. Murkoff again stands the test of time. He was really dominant, absolutely gave Monkhurst a bath. And all in all, it was a really good performance. They took their chances well. They locked it in. They managed the game really well. They never really were threatened. It started off a little bit slow for them, but once they got into the game, they really did take over, and they took over really well. And there were some good players there at North. Jed Anderson was really, he found a bit of the ball, but he didn't really hurt them. Quenton really managed him well. And it was really impressive, really. It's nice to see what they're building. It's kind of like the AFL. You're starting to see it. Real good ball movement, real direct, hitting up the corridor. A lot of them zigzag patterns we talk about on former shows where we go down the wing and then we come back inside. Great to see MOTLOP float on the ball, Fogs, all that lot, just really getting that rotation going. And there was a lot of overlap run. It was a really impressive game all in all. So let's smack into the individual performances, and I've got a little special one at the end for you. Can't wait to show you that. So we start off with Paddy Dow, someone who I'm really, really enjoying in the VFL. His development is really, really standout for me, and you're really starting to see what he's all about and what he's working. 34 touches for him, 2 marks, 3 tackles, the no goals. This was a good game. Last week we saw him play a more defensive role. This week we saw him kind of put this situation together. It was a real impeccable game for me. And what really excites me is his attack on the ball. It's very direct. It's almost Tuck Miller-like. You see him around the stoppages, particularly in the centre of the ground where the VFL play quite a lot of football. They look to recycle stoppages. He just zips in there, no messing about. And we're starting to see a toughness about Paddy Dow's game, which I am all about. This guy's ready to play AFL. How he gets in that team, I don't know. For me, if I was picking it, there is probably an argument that playing Hewitt, Cripper and Kennedy could be too slow. So whether you remove a half forward, which gives you the rotation for Kennedy, and then you bring Dow in. But Dow has to play on the ball. You can't play him on the wing or anything like that. It has to be centralised. Them touches out wide were stoppages, line breaks and things like that, which is really good. But what I'm loving is his intent off the ball as well. He's giving the ball away and then he's looking to be part of the next passage of play. Real high engine. You can see he's done a lot of work on his engine as well. But this burst from stoppage is really impressive. The one question mark is he had a hell of a lot of the ball in the first half and then kind of phased out of it. But then a lot of players did. But this burst stoppage, if we can get the rotation right, there is a place for Paddy Dow. It is good to see. A lot of people will pick up on his kicking efficiency, which does my head in. Remember, if you have more than 10 kicks and you are over 65% in the AFL, you are considered good. It isn't a kicking game anymore in the terms of high kicking efficiency. They are high kicking numbers and they're doing a lot of kicking under pressure. It's very standout though what he does. He really gets the ball into the hot zones and things like that. And that's a big thing. If you look at a lot of his inefficient effect kicks, they are in the hot zone. And with good forwards like Harry and Curdo, that is where they want it with a good forward craft. Real impressive from him. And I am enjoying what he's building, really enjoying Dow. Watch out for him because I think the story isn't finished yet. Mark my words. Jesse MOTLOP up next. You all ask about him. 18 touches, 2 marks, 3 tackles, 1 goal. I really enjoyed his consistency this game. He was in and around from first to the end. That's something that I said that's probably holding him back from seniors. It's not a huge issue when what you're playing, when you're his role. But what is interesting, spent a little bit of time on the wing, spent a little bit of time on the ball. And I love that rotation, particularly late in the third and the fourth, because he's a bundle of energy. Really starting to bring his game to light, really. You see a lot of tackles high up the ground as well. Very Durden of him. He goes man hunting, and I like it. I enjoyed Jesse's game. He really does add something, particularly around the stoppages. He's a very smart player, very, very intelligent. A lot of taps as well on. You see him across the half forward. Instead of going for it, he just knocks it over his head. He's got IQ, and what he's got you can't teach, and I'm really enjoying it. And he's going to start to be putting the pressure. I reckon he's a 3-goal game like he had before COVID, away from breaking into this side. Watch this space with him because there's something about him. And here's Pom's big call. I reckon when he breaks into the team, he has a 3-goal game for the seniors. Fog next. 20 touches, 6 marks, 3 tackles. I'm going to say this with a caveat. I don't think there's a place for him in the AFL. But where he is now is brilliant because the standard he brings is impeccable. And I think his best work you see here is predominantly in the wing and around the stoppages. I mean, in the corridor and then on the stoppages as kind of a rotary on-baller. That's kind of how he plays. And I'm really, really enjoying what Fog does at the VFL level because he's a standard setter. He's a standard. You've got to get above this guy to make the AFL grade. And he's just a battler, isn't he, really? I look at his game and there's nothing that says to me first team. And I think he's probably come to Carlton at the worst time because the boys in that position have developed, but more so we've recruited really talently as well. I do think Hewitt is the role for him, but I don't think we could wait. And I think now what we're seeing is we've got George Hewitt. I like Fogg though. I think he's valuable to have on the list. I just don't think you're ever going to get more than 6 games from him in the AFL. And that's no knock on him. He's a talented footballer. But I just think the game's gone past having a Fog, and I don't think we've got time to aid that development. But if we start slotting him across more half forward, I could maybe see merit for it, but he's definitely a midfielder. I said it at the time with Geelong, and nothing's changed. But real solid standout. As for VFL, real key performer for them. I enjoy what he brings, the second and third efforts. And yeah, just doing his things. Thank Christ the heavens have listened. Said it at the start of the year, playing him forward is, I do think, where he's going to do his most damage. I think that is his position. But For me, whoever made the decision at the AFL to switch him this year full-time and then back Marchbank and McGovern, I mean, obviously the club, you'd presume, no more than me by seeing these players every day, but I would just say law of averages, the chances of Marchbank and McGovern being fit for a whole season are the chances of Taylor Swift coming on here and telling me that she's a North fan. You know what I mean? Fuck all. Thank God he's back down the back, real solid, played a bit more centrally in the key position, then went for more of a lockdown role, which Tyrese Lowe took over. No intercept marks this game, but what was interesting, it was kind of like Carlton had put him in at the deep end and said, let's see what your defence is. And I love this. It's what I said about Dow last week. You don't, going back to my golf days, when you're coaching someone very good or when you're coaching, you don't get people to practice what they're good at inherently. If they're naturally a drawer of the ball, there's no fucking point teaching that in a session. You're better off teaching a fade and getting them to work it the other way. And they played him as a pure, more like a lockdown one-on-one. And I enjoyed it because that's probably the question mark about Kemp if he plays full-time down back, as opposed to he's got a natural ability at reading the ball. He takes the game on. He gets the ball at the highest point. He spins. He takes the game on. He knows how to play footy. This is the one thing, and I loved it. I really did. It impressed me, actually, because he used his body well. He really did control it. There were some last-ditch tackles in there. Few spoils as well. You know what? If anything does... I mean, personally, you can't drop Plowman after last week. I think that's unfair for me. I think if you do perform above and beyond and there's a place for you, which there is, you play him. I think with Adelaide, how that backline is, you're okay as well, to be honest. But Kemp, yeah, I like it. And I want to give a caveat here. I think in 3 years' time, this guy's the ultimate swingman. I think you'll see it. And I think you are going to see in the next 6 games a heavy onus of a rotation coming through, and BRODIE really allows you that thing. Real good game. I can't wait till next week, because if it's anything like how the pattern seems to be, you have a week where your role is restricted, and then the next week you show me your role. So I'm really excited about Kemp's game. Mark my words, we'll come back to this, see how wrong I am, but I think you'll have a big one next week in the VFL. Tom Williamson. Fuck me. I love this game. Now, we know that I'm a Noons boy, and I defend him quite a bit. Give you some real hard case analytics. This guy's here. So I understand everyone's argument. Noons, he's older. He's throwback. This guy's doing Noons' job. Get him in ASAP Rocky. I am enjoying it. Real good meters gained. He's a threat as well. He's another R-word rotation, and we're going to need another rotation on the wing and across halfback to continue what Vossi likes to do. He likes to throw Doc up there when the crooks are down, and this gives him that option, this float. And I think you're going to see one wing kind of like Melbourne, where you're going to have an 80-90% winger, O'Brien, and then you're going to have a 60-30-20 guy. And I think Williamson is primed for that role, because then that allows Carroll to do what he does as well, which is phenomenal. And it was a real solid game. Overlap, run for him. His ability to get in both ends as well. One of them goals, he actually started that in the D end. He got the spoil, got the ball to ground. Engine's good, booming foot. The one knock I have on Noons is his inside 50s and his meter gain per disposal are good, but I do think he could be more advantageous with his kick in. Williamson's got that. Winger is his spot. We've said it, a few of us, for years. Defensively, he likes to take the game on. And the wing, and I love it, he's playing that more defensive wing, which, if you look at Noons, his heat maps are almost identical, and then he's getting forward. I love it. I love it. It allows that rotation. We did that. If you see my Twitter and my Facebook, I went into a bit in-depth with the wing analytics. You need personnel. This guy is personnel personified. Bye coming up after this week's fixture. So I reckon he'll be in then. That's Pom's big call. Sammy PHILP, half-forward specialist, 17 touches, 4 marks. I'm enjoying what he does. Works both ends of the guy around well. They're starting to play him as well, just every so often, that like more kind of like high defensive, high half-back flank defensive wing. It's kind of a nothing position, but Carlton seem to throw him there. They throw him through the ball as well, which I really like. Another guy that got some rotation. Really enjoy what PHILP is doing. He's building nicely. They say that he was very close to selection round 1. I don't doubt it as well. He had something. And he's going to be putting a bit of pressure on. At the moment, the forwards are starting to do their job. People criticising Durden, but his numbers are good. The pressure acts are really insane. He's getting there. PHILP again fits that ball that he's not quite kicking the goals, but he brings it. And I think he's a couple of goals away from asking us a question, but I did enjoy his game. He works really hard, really in and around as well. It's probably stiff that Champ started giving me tackles because there was quite a lot of times that he definitely enacted play with what he was doing, but I really enjoyed what Sam PHILP's bringing. He's slowly building nicely. He gets in and out of the contest well. Works that right-hand flank really well as well. A lot of 1-2s there as well and keeping the ball in motion. Doesn't look for stoppages, which I like. He looks to keep the ball in the dangerous areas. Really good. I enjoyed PHILP. And I want to see PHILP work off a big guy because Josh Cripps is probably the biggest player we deploy forward. He's primarily playing off Crocker's feet. And I want to see him work with a big guy. And I reckon he might be quite something. Jordan Boyd. This guy, for me, is... I really like Boyd as well. I want to get that out there. I like him. He's got a cut jib. This guy here, though, is really slowly working on avenues of his game. Do I think he's got enough time to seal a spot in the AFL list? Probably not. But if I was a Gold Coast, I'd look at someone like this. You know, because with a bit of time, a year or so, in an AFL system, developing in the AFL... could be like a very Audi off-brand Harbrow. I really enjoy what he's doing though. He works hard, works really, really hard for the ball. He's a real head over the first ball, looks to get that overlap run. Takes some aggressive kicks on. His kicking's been billed really highly. The goal was good. I've got to say, Paolo, if you're watching, mate, you were shocked, weren't you? But he's building nicely. He's building nicely. And, is there a place for him in the AFL? Probably not. But, you know, if he's your backup, you can't go far wrong. Dommy, my boy. I really enjoyed Dom's game. And it's only 6 touches, 1 mark, I know. But he was bodying players. That was really good. He got his body in the way. He shepherded a few times. There was a real wonderful moment as well where he nudged Walker off the ball to get to it. Overlap run. Miles away from AFL football, but I tell you what, he's building nicely, and I'm starting to see some confidence coming in, and him real injecting and getting some injection of play. It's a real solid game from Dom. Want to see him get a little bit more involved, but there was a lot of big fists. He's a big fist kid. Comes in across them packs, bam, get out of there. I had a smile watching his game this week. I had a smile because I saw, you know what, you're enjoying it, kidder, and long may it continue. Good effort, Dom. Good effort, mate. Alex Murkoff, 10 touches, 3 marks, 2 tackles, 35 hit-outs. And the 35 hit-outs doesn't tell the story because I'll tell you what, it was more one-sided than the Fury-White fight. It would have been stopped ASAP. But, I mean, this was a pretty good game from Murkoff. He started to fall behind the ball, which is what we talked about round 1 or 2. That I'd like to see him get behind the ball a bit more and be that little threat. Really enjoyed that. He took a really good mark in D50. Starting to really work the ground as well. I'm starting to notice them KMs are coming up. He's starting to really up and around the ground. Every week I watch him, he's impressive, to be honest. If he has to come in, I'm really happy. For me, I stand by what I said there. He's building confidence. Don't throw him in at the deep end yet. I think that's the worst thing we can do because he's really starting to develop. If we can get a whole season with him in the VFL... Next year, we could be in a really good position. But Merc, if you're watching, mate, absolute bob on, buddy. Bob on. I love it. Love it. And here's your surprise. This is the guy that I reckon is odds on to join this football club. And Will Hayes plays across that right channel. He's a little bit of a licorice all sorts. He's like a floater. He reminds me of, you know, Sam Mitchell in the Hawthorn era. His role there, but he's just kind of everywhere. I mean... It's like no defined position, but as you can see, works the channels well, pinch hits in there, on the ball when they do it, and I really enjoy the fact that they play this guy primarily on the ball around in the ground stoppages. I've loved Will Hayes ever since he was at the Doggies. think his work rate is incredible. Incredible. 38 touches, 6 marks, 3 tackles. This guy is either Nick Graham or Jack Graham, if we pick him up. And what I mean by that is he's going to be Billy Big Bollocks in the VFL and Billy Pea-sized Bollocks in the AFL. Or he's going to be Jack Graham and just fucking tear the game up, and you're going to be like, fucking hell, this guy's good. And like Jack Graham did when he came in and he just cemented his spot and become a big part of Richmond. Love what he does, man. Love what he does. He's clever. He's crafty. He's always looking to play 1-2s. He invariably does the right thing as well, which is what I really like about him. He links up really well, and he gives transition a lot of unforgotten things about players like Will Hayes. Is what O'Brien and Nunes did this week in the seniors. Their ability to carry on the transition and get that transition into its second and third phase until it gets inside 50. Real good game, and I tell you what, Hazy is good. Hazy is good. I like him, and he's worth a look. He's worth a look. And if the rumours are true, Carlton are going to LTI Murkoff and other players and have 3 picks in the draft. Will Hayes is a lock. Lock it in. Lock it in. What a player. And we know the AFL, it's a corrupt industry. Everyone's mates. They ain't going to pick him up. So get Will Hayes in. So that's it then. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you do like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. It's about 50% of you are not subscribed. So make that change. It takes 3 seconds. I'll give you 3 seconds now. Boom. Get that lit up. I'll see you on Friday for the preview. Be around Blue Abroad for the teams as well. Come and check that out with my mate Leg Dog. And until next time, stay safe. Pom out.